U.S. President Donald Trump is continuing to defend his controversial pardons of the January 6th rioters.
They were treated like the worst criminals in history. And you know what they were there for? They were protesting the vote because they knew the election was rigged.
Just hours after being sworn into office last Monday, Trump issued roughly 1,500 pardons to his supporters who took part in that attack on Capitol Hill. On January 6th of 2021, thousands of people stormed the U.S. Capitol. They entered the building, smashing windows, ransacking offices. Hundreds of rioters were convicted and sentenced to prison time. 71-year-old Pamela Hemphill was one of them. She pled guilty to a misdemeanor charge and was sentenced to 60 days in prison. Now Hemphill says she's rejecting Trump's pardon because she no longer supports him and no longer believes the 2020 election was stolen. Pamela Hemphill, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
You pled guilty to a misdemeanor offense for entering the Capitol during the riot. Why have you decided to refuse President Trump's pardon?
Well, first, it would be an insult to the Capitol Police that were injured that day against the rule of law and to our nation. They're trying to rewrite history, and I don't want to be a part of what they're trying to, their propaganda, what they're putting out there. It would be wrong.
Yeah, I want to make sure people kind of understand how you got to this space. You did believe that the 2020 election was stolen. You no longer believe that. Tell me what changed for you.
Well, nothing happened or any changes until about 6 months after being released from prison, when I had discovered that Ryan Samsel had put out an article in Gateway Pundit that he lost his eye in jail. So I researched it and found out that it was not true. And his gift send and go went real high. So I realized, wait, something's not right here. They're lying about things. And so I did some more research, and I went back to my MAGA friends, and they got upset at me and said I'm getting the wrong research, and I hadn't. And so they got upset at me, and eventually they did a smear campaign on me. And so I went and started a J6 gaslighting space, and the sedition hunters and Democrats and researchers came in and gave me actually receipts of what was really happened that day on January 6th, and everything changed from there.
And how do you think you got to that space then, Pamela, that you were a supporter of Donald Trump, and there's nothing wrong with that, but willing to be part of that incursion on Capitol Hill? Why do you think you got to that space?
Well, I was a retired alcohol and drug counselor at the time. I'd been contacted by the MAGA girls in Boise, Idaho, to come out, videotape and interview people. And I had no real knowledge of politics and what was going on. And what they were sharing with me, that the Democrats want to turn this into a communist nation. That scared me. And not being schooled and keeping up with what's really going on at that time, I just started listening to them. I thought, why would anybody be lying? Especially the people I knew in that area. They had 2 PhDs. They were senators, the lieutenant governor, and a president isn't going to be lying, right?
Right.
So you're very naive, and you just tend to. The problem has been people don't do their research, and they just listen to Trump and believe everything he's telling you.
When you think back to January 6th now, what do you remember of that day, and how do you feel about your actions that day?
In my mind, there was going to be a rally. Nobody would break the law or try to push officers. Republicans, I was told, leave a Capitol cleaner than when they got there, and they're for the law. No, just the opposite happened. So when I ran into the Proud Boys, I asked them, are we going inside the Capitol? Because I'm thinking they're going to go inside legally, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know, the famous remark that Trump said, stand back, stand by. So I thought they were there to protect Trump. And of course, they're not going to break any laws because they're representing the president. So I thought I would stay close to them. But unfortunately, you know, it's too late now. But I stayed with them for about an hour. They ended up leaving where I was and went to the other side of the Capitol and then attacked the Capitol.
How do you feel about your behavior on that day?
Oh, disgusted. I had the real mega, it's our house. The election was stolen. Just shameful,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. What do
I'm
you
not
think
giving
of,
excuses, but
yeah, yeah. What do you think of the fact that the president pardoned, is trying to pardon you and has pardoned so many people who were involved in that day?
well, this is Trump's message that he's been sending out there, that the DOJ is weaponized against him, and there's a deep state that's trying to destroy our country, which we know is not true. So he had to pardon them to continue with his narrative, his gaslighting, his lying, that the DOJ is weaponized against people, and they are not. They were not weaponized against me. I had due process. All the J6ers had due process. I know they put it out there saying they were not getting due process or trials, but that's all a lie. All you have to do is go check the court recordings, and there's their due process.
Right.
But the problem with Mega, they haven't been checking their lies to get evidence, you know.
Can you reject a pardon? I know you have a lawyer, and I know it's not necessarily something that's easy to do. What are you being told about that?
Right now, we're doing everything we can to find out. I've been told that I can reject a pardon. I have contacted my probation officer to find out what's the form I need to sign. I'm wanting to do it now. I emailed them, I think it's the United States Office of Pardon. So I'm waiting, you know, what do I need to do? Because I want to do it immediately.
Why is that so important to you, Pamela?
Because I would feel like I was a part of their narrative. Again, the DOJ was not weaponized against me. You don't go doing something illegal. There's always going to be consequences, and this is part of the consequences for me breaking the law that day. So if I pleaded guilty and I received 2 months in prison and probation, I need to finish it.
Yeah.
And that way I feel like I've made my amends.
Let me just end on this, Pamela. What do you think? What do you think of sort of the way politics is in the United States right now? You know, Donald Trump won an overwhelming mandate to be president this second time. What do you think of that?
Well, it's really frightening because him and all his fascists are wanting to bring in all this extreme and policies, you know, the possibility of rejecting help to Ukraine or the Project 2025, you know, and social policies with the Christian nationalists and you know, maybe stopping being with NATO. You know, it's the only thing we can hope for is the Republicans will stand up against him. We'll see. I hope they have enough integrity because right now it feels like we elected a king or a dictator. We didn't elect a president.
Okay, Pamela Hemphill, thank you for making the time and talking about your case. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you.